Hello, friends. Today's episode is brought to you by From Within Records. Just announced Envision, The Gods That Built Tomorrow. The new 12-inch will be available to stream and pre-order on May 5th. So mark your calendars and then head over to FromWithinRecords.com. If you're not following From Within Records on social media, please boot up your Twitter, your Instagram. Click that follow button to stay up to date on all the current news. From Within Records Podcast Network. Dudes Doing Movies, From Within Records podcast. If you're not subscribed, please boot up your Spotify, your Apple Podcasts, search out those podcasts, and then click subscribe. And like I always say, please support From Within Records because they support us. If you're looking for high quality merch for your band, for your business, please go follow my friends over at Good Fortune Printing out of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania on Instagram. At Good Fortune Printing. If you want to get in contact with them, please email them contact@goodfortuneprinting.com. You can thank me later. Before we get into today's guest, I survived Pinkchella. I'm so happy to have been able to experience Coachella 2023. It was a full circle moment, right? So let's jump back to 2019. Nate and I are at Coachella minding our own business. You know, we're thinking about Turnstile. We're thinking about Turnover. YBN was the thing at the time. And here we are just backstage eating these delicious fruit bars provided by YouTube. And we're just minding our own business. And here comes Blackpink walking towards us. And I'm just starstruck. I'm like, who are they? And I had to do some research, find out it's Blackpink. And this is pre-K-pop era, right? Because I got into K-pop in 2020. So figured out it was Blackpink. Mind was blown. And I wasn't tapped in, right? So fast forward to 2023. I'm deep in the K-pop culture. And Blackpink gets announced that they're headlining Coachella. And I was like, I have to go. I have to be there. I have to experience this because... technically, that's where my K-pop journey started, even without me knowing. So I was so pumped to have been able to go to Coachella this weekend, managed to see Skal live, which was amazing. I'm so happy for Skal. I love everybody in that band, and to see them just continue to rise and to see them perform at Coachella and have a great response, and then even hearing the people at Coachella saying so many positive things about Skal, it was such a cool moment. So I'm so happy for Skal and Flat Spot Records, just to see them do good and to see them rise. It's such a cool thing. So I was honored to have been able to been there to experience that, and to end the night watching Blackpink live was insane. It was more than I could have asked for, right? Because I went to the world tour back in October, November. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that was cool. That was my first time getting to experience it after being a knowledgeable fan. But their Coachella set, they just came out swinging with all the hits. And maybe it's because they just had limited time, whatever, but their set list was amazing. Jisoo finally got to perform her solo song Flower. Because when I was at the world tour, Lisa, Rose, Jenny, they got to perform all their solo stuff. But at the time, Jisoo hadn't come out with her solo project yet. So to be able to see them live and see them all do their solo stuff, it was amazing. It was awesome. And it was definitely surreal to hear so many people around me at Coachella Fest not really know what Blackpink is. They were just there to see if they were going to like it. And to hear so many people walk away with a new interest in not just Blackpink, but in K-pop in general was wild to me, because for me, this is normal shit, right? I love Blackpink. I'm going to NMIX in a couple weeks. We got front row seats. Shout out to Lonnie for that. It was a wild experience. And then to even watch the restreams on TikTok and YouTube and not even realizing how massive it actually was, because here I am, I'm front row at the barricade, just getting to soak it all in, but not realizing there's like 100,000 people behind me, experiencing the same thing. And then even the people at home, they get a different perspective. Like, there's parts where I wasn't even watching the screen, so a lot of the graphics I missed out on because I was focusing on Blackpink on stage. And then even some of the fireworks, I didn't even know there's fireworks going on because I was just so close up. It was such a wild experience, but I'm so happy that I was able to experience. Shout out to Nate for always being down and hooking it up. Great time. I love Blackpink. Coachella was awesome. And I just savor those moments, right? Because to have to battle the bots and the scalpers just even to get to a spot like I was at Coachella at a normal concert, it's nearly impossible, right? Like I just mentioned, I have front row seats to NMIX. That was rare. Like I said, shout out to Lonnie for her god tier internet, but I knew that the experience that I was having at Coachella was something special because I was at the world tour and I signed up for my Blink membership, never got, I paid, never got my membership. So I didn't even make it to pre-sale. So I ended up finding a seat on the club level at the BMO stadium, which was nice. I was just chilling, but to be able to experience it close up would have been a trip. So I don't take my experience at Coachella for granted because I know how rare it is. So go watch the vlog, right? Head over to YouTube, go subscribe to my channel. We're getting busier on YouTube. This episode will be on YouTube, but we're doing weekly vlogs. I just put up the Coachella vlog. There's some Scal footage. There's Blackpink footage. It's super awesome. But enough about Coachella. On today's episode, we had to track down our good friend Avery, New Jersey hardcore, sings for a band called Cutdown, plays the guitar in a band called Never Again, occasionally fills in for Raw Brigade. It was cool for me to be able to have Avery back on the podcast, because if you go back to the early days, just to have the support of Fence Cutter and Perth Amboy, New Jersey, just to have their support in the early days of the podcast, it just meant so much to me. Because for me on the come up, to build these relationships, and here we are years later, and I'm still having these positive relationships. I'm flying out to their state to see their bands, and they're still willing to support me. It's awesome, and I love it. So whenever I'm able to have people on, that were there for me in the early days, it's something special to me. So I'm such a fan of Perth Amboy. I'm such a fan of New Jersey hardcore. So to be able to have Avery on, to hear about Cutdown, to hear about Never Again, it was such a pleasure for me. So shout out to New Jersey hardcore, shout out Rebirth Records, shout out Bob Wilson. But for anyone who's not familiar with Never Again or Cutdown, please hit pause, go boot up your Spotify, your Apple Music, go listen to the split. It's awesome. Straight up awesome New Jersey hardcore. And then come back here, listen to Avery and I chop it up. So please strap in, enjoy this conversation. Without further ado, welcome Avery Field to the show. Live, we're recording, so thank you Avery for coming back on the podcast. This is a long time coming, because if we think back to when you're on the podcast for the first time, it's been ages. So I'm happy to have you back. Thank you.
Of course, man. It doesn't feel like a long time, which is crazy because it's been like 4 years.
Yeah, when I think back to the Fence Cutter days, that just seems like an eternity ago, because when I was in New Jersey, I saw some girl. I'm not sure who she was, but she was wearing a Fence Cutter shirt, and I was like, oh damn, that's weird that's a throwback.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually, yeah. It's funny. I've been seeing like I saw someone at a show the other day wearing a Fence Cutter shirt, and I was just like, where did you get that? Or like I'll hear like new kids that started coming around after we broke up, just at, like they're like really interested in Fence Cutter. Like why? Like I mean I don't know. I guess it's nice, but at the same time, it's just it was a short lived band, and I don't know. It's interesting to hear people that they're still interested in that.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm happy that I was around and was able to know about Fence Cutter, because if it wasn't for that band, I wouldn't have this connection with you, with Jason, with the rest of Perth Amboy. So I'm happy that I was able to be around and be able to know about it while I was around.
Yeah, man.
So I was bummed when I heard about Fence Cutter breaking up, and obviously you guys moved on to do newer bands. But at that moment, if you can remember, was there like any point where you're not going to do music, or was that just a little bump in the road?
Oh, even like really when Fence Cutter broke up, the conversation wasn't we're breaking up. It was more of let's just start over. Like let's do a new band, because this has kind of run its course. So no, there was never. I've been in bands since I was 14. So, and I don't plan on ever not doing music. So yeah, no, it was always going to be, we're going to do a new band after this.
And I'm trying to remember the timeline, because back then you were out of the country, going to school.
Yep. And I in college I did a semester abroad. I did a semester in Valencia, Spain.
Okay.
So when I did your podcast, I was over there, and we had to do some weird, because you're in California, Jason was in Jersey, I was over there, so we had to like find a time that worked for everybody, and for me it was like the middle of the night, but we made it happen.
And so obviously you're back full time in the U.S. Have you ever wanted to do that again, to leave the country for an extended period of time?
Oh yeah, I mean, if the opportunity presented itself and it was viable, I would love to do something like that, because it's cool. I mean, I like traveling. I like seeing new places. When in 2021 going into 2022, I spent like probably like a week and a half in Colombia, and that was really cool. So yeah, I'm always down to do stuff like that.
Interesting. And what were you doing down in Colombia?
Just hanging out. I mean, I've been close friends with the Robert Gate guys for probably like close to 5 years now. And since I met them, they were always like, you got to come to Colombia. You got to come see it. You got to hang out with us. And I was like, yeah, like I'm down. And then COVID kind of postponed that a couple years. And then I was like, you know what? Like this was in 2021. I'm like, I don't care if there's COVID going on or whatever, I'm going like around like at the end of 2021, I'm going to go. And so I booked the trip, everything it was the last week of 2021. The way I planned it was Robert Gate played FYA 2022. So I flew down the day after Christmas 2021, and my plan was to stay there and then fly to Tampa with everybody to go, and then we all went to FYA. So I kind of planned it around FYA. I didn't know until, well, I don't even know if it was, I don't know, because I booked all this stuff in like July of that year. A couple months go by, and I find out that Regulating Life's Question were doing a tour, and they were leaving like a few days before I flew in. So I totally missed that tour and ended up just hanging out with the Robert Gate guys, which was fine, because I mean, I go to hardcore shows all the time in the US. Like it would be cool to see, even like obviously like I don't know, like I'm not gonna like invite myself on somebody else's tour or anything like that, but like it would have been cool to see like their last show in Bogota, which was like a really big show. Looked really cool. Saw the videos, looked awesome. Would have been cool to see that, but fortunately it didn't line up, which is fine.
Yeah, I love seeing that connection that people have with Raw Brigade, and getting down to Columbia and getting to experience that scene, and everybody that excuse me, everybody that I've talked to about their travels down there, they've always had something positive to say about the scene. So it's really
Yeah.
cool to see. Obviously, you mentioned that Life's Question Regulate tour, and then even this past was it December where they had that fest where Pain of Truth went down. So it's really cool to see that crossover. These U.S. bands traveling down there and getting to just kind of showcase what we have out here, and then also get to experience an international hardcore scene.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of it seems like, not that I'm like, it's not like I've been in hardcore for so long that I can see these trends coming and going, but it seems like right now hardcore is becoming very worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like, I mean, obviously there was always bands all around the world and like a scene all around the world, but like I always sort of, what I observed is that the attention was always on American bands and the American hardcore scene, which makes sense. It's American music originally.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like now, like, there's a lot going on outside of the country that American hardcore kids are really excited about, which is cool. And one of those things being like the fest that Carlos does in Colombia, and the fact that Raw Brigade is like such a, like, it's a band that a lot of people are paying attention to right now. And, that stuff, even like when I first got into hardcore, not super, super long ago, that stuff wouldn't happen. Like, no one would care about a band from South America.
Yeah, it's a interesting thing and a good thing, because I've always been banging that drum that obviously it's nice, and I feel like it's easy to know what's going on here on in our country, but we shouldn't just leave it at that. There's so much good hardcore outside of the U.S. Like Scheme Records just put out their compilation, and there's this band on there called Mortal Form, and I was asking around, like, where's this band from? Because I've never heard of them. I don't know anybody in the band, and I finally got some information back there. Oh, they're like a German band, and I was just like, what the hell? I thought they were from here. So it was just another example of just like really good hardcore that's outside of the U.S. So to me, it's not surprising, and it's nice that more people are giving international bands an opportunity to shine here in America.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And I've seen you play with Raw Brigade. Are you like slowly just like filling in or joining the band?
I mean, so Carlos and Juan live in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like it's not an obstacle really for them to play shows around the Northeast or other parts of the US. But Camilo still lives in Colombia, and then their actual bass player, he can't come here. I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
But the dude has been filling in for him for the past 5 years, this dude Nikolai, he also lives in Colombia. So they don't like to, I think the most they've flown up in a year to play is probably like 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, because it's very risky to constantly be coming up here to play music, and when you're selling merch and getting paid to do these bigger shows, it's risky. So they don't want to get in any legal trouble with like TSA or whatever. So that being said, Raw Brigade gets asked to play a lot of shows right now, so they don't want to turn the shows down. So that's where I come in. And there's sort of a revolving door of other dudes. Connor, who plays in Akulu and Illusion, he's also in that revolving door. Andrew from Combust has played some shows with us. But not to toot my own horn, but I'm always there. I'm always down. I'm always down to do a Raw Brigade show. Those guys have been my friends forever. And honestly, for me, it's just an excuse to hang out with them. And I love hanging out with those guys. And they live, I'm close to New York, but not that close. So like I'm about an hour away. So it's not like I get to see them all the time. Mm. So it's nice to be able to spend time with those guys.
For sure. Yeah. Raw Brigade's awesome. I tried booking them last time they came to California, but it was just like too short notice.
Yeah.
Because I would love to see Raw Brigade in Orange County.
Oh, yeah, that'd be sick.
Okay. Well, you play in, or you sing for your newer band, Cutdown, which I think is an awesome band. But can we go back to the beginning of Cutdown? Can you talk about how the band got together?
Yeah. So, I guess I'll start with one of the dude that played bass for Fence Cutter, currently plays bass in Never Again, is this dude named Juan.
Mm-hmm.
He around towards the end of Fence Cutter and then like a little bit after Fence Cutter, he was in this band called Misconduct, which stylistically was a lot more similar to what Cutdown does. It's like more punkier stuff, but it's still hardcore, faster. I mean, not it's not going to be like crazy spin kick breakdowns or anything, but like moshable, fast, traditional hardcore music, hardcore punk music. That band, the singer quit, and then it kind of like dissolved, and that was right before COVID anyway. So it's not like they were gonna really play that much after that. So it wasn't a huge deal, I guess. But so I guess he still wanted to do a band of that style, and he gathered up our drummer Pez and our bass player Mike Z, and they got together maybe I don't know how many times before I got in the picture, maybe once or twice. I know they wrote a song because my friend Juan, he approached me. He's like, yeah, like I'm doing this band, similar kind of style to Misconduct. And I'm looking for a singer. I was thinking about asking our one friend. And I was like, don't ask him. Nothing against our friend. I was like, don't ask him. Not because he's bad, but I know he wouldn't be as into it as your boy. So I'll do it. He was like, all right, like, don't be weird. Because, I don't know, maybe I have a tendency of being a little eccentric. So I was like, no, don't worry. I'll be cool. Like, it'll be cool. I'm going to show up to practice and we're going to make it happen. This was the summer of 2020. So, like, there's no shows going on, but we're still jamming, doing our thing. So I met up with them for practice. I guess I'll keep going. So I had some lyrics that I kind of prepared before the practice just so I had something to do, because I sang in a band in high school, but we're not going to talk about that. But I never really sang in a hardcore band before. But my observations of it before that was just like singers at band practices just kind of like sit there on their phone and don't do anything. And I was like, I don't want to do that because I'll be bored. So let me write some lyrics so that I have something to do at this first practice. They had one song written already, which was the first song on our demo, which is Cut Down as 2 words.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that practice, we also wrote the second song on the demo, which is a song called Revenge, which both of the songs I already had lyrics for. So we just kind of like put them together and we're like, okay, cool. Like we just banged out 2 pretty good songs. So we were all excited about it and we just kept jamming, which is cool. Well, the cool thing about starting a band in the middle of a pandemic is that you're not on like a time crunch. Like we were like, let's just take our time, make this demo as good as it can be. Like we probably wrote like close to 10 songs and just cut a lot of them because there's only 5 songs on the demo.
Mm-hmm.
And we just did that until we recorded in February, I think, of 2021. And then the demo came out in April or May of 2021. And then we played our first show in July. So time-wise, it all kind of worked out. We were able to take our time with the demo. And then by the time we put it out, shows were about to come back. Like, I mean, yeah, actually, because around the time we were putting out the demo, we were already planning that first show in July. So it all worked out time-wise.
And since you scrapped the other songs, have you tried to revisit them, or were they just not really usable?
I mean, no, the way I kind of write hardcore music and the way I try to write hardcore music when I'm collaborating with my friends is you kind of can't overthink it. You just got to like throw ideas out there. I always say like just throwing shit at the wall and waiting for something to stick. So a lot of those songs that got thrown out were pieces of shit that did not stick to the wall. Whereas the stuff that gets recorded is, I guess, good pieces of shit that can stick to the wall.
And with the release of the demo, a little bit of a gap to your first show, did you have any expectations for the new band? Obviously, since going through the pandemic, shows weren't really happening. The landscape of hardcore is changing. A lot of stuff is getting pushed to the internet. I'm just curious, with this new band, did you have any expectations, or was it just business as usual?
I mean, I don't know. I obviously I wanted it to be well received, and I guess I wanted my friends to like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not the kind of guy that thinks we need to be the biggest band in the world and all that. I don't really care about all that. I just want to. I mean, I'm gonna do this regardless because I like doing it, and yeah, I don't know. I just wanted it to. I guess I just wanted the shows to be good. I wanted our first show to be good. I guess that was my expectation.
And from your point of view, how was that first show in July back in 2021?
The first show was awesome. It was really, really cool. We kind of cheated because it was the first show in Jersey since the pandemic. We were the first band to play the first show, and it was our first show as a brand new band.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of we cheated a little bit, putting us in the position where if that people have been waiting almost 2 years to get in the mosh pit. If they're not gonna go crazy for us, they're not gonna go crazy for anything. So yeah, we kind of cheated in that way, but it ended up being awesome. And yeah, it was a great show. It was us, and then Life's Question, Warren, Raw Brigade, and there had to be one other band. Dusters also played. A local New Jersey legend.
Mm-hmm. That's wild.
And yeah, that show was awesome.
Even 2021 seems so long ago. Were you nervous at all to be in that position for New Jersey, right? To be the first band, first show back?
I was freaking out. So that day I went to work, got out at 6 p.m. The show started at 7. I drove over to the show and just paced throughout the whole venue, back up and down the whole venue. It was just pacing. And everyone was like, yo, all my friends were like, yo, chill out. It's going to be cool. And I'm like, I just have to do it. I just have to do it. I was just so anxious about it. But I kind of put that energy into the set when we played and just kind of let it all out and went crazy. And after 2 songs, I was like, oh my God, I'm totally out of shape because this is hard. It was also 95 degrees in that room. It was the middle of July. But yeah, I mean, I was very nervous about it. But then I mean, usually if I don't get nervous every show, but if I'm going to be nervous at a show, after I play, I calm down. Mm-hmm. And just enjoy the rest of the show.
And when I think of Cutdown, I also think of Never Again. Obviously, you guys have the split, which we'll get to. Is it a thing that you guys decided on to try to make it seem like you guys are a pair, or is that just because you guys are such close friends that it just happens to look like that?
Well, yes, we are. The band share members. Mm-hmm. I play in both bands. Juan plays in both bands. And we're all it's just our group of friends. But specifically with the Instagram account being a joint Instagram account, I stole the idea from The Fight and Rule 'Em All.
Okay.
They took those bands. They were both those bands are made up of former members of Jukai.
Mm-hmm.
And Jukai had an Instagram account, and then when they broke up, I guess I don't know if they're back together or what. I know I've seen their name on flyers again,
mm-hmm.
but there was a time where they did break up. So when they broke up, they, instead of just deleting that Instagram account, they just changed the name to Fight Them All. So it's The Fight and Rule 'Em All, and they just posted stuff about both bands on one account, and that way you keep all the followers of the old band's account, so that the people that like your old band are going to see what your new bands are doing. And Yeah, I don't know. It's just convenient. So I took the Fence Cutter account and just deleted everything on the Fence Cutter account and changed the name to Never Cut Down Again. And yeah, it's funny. People sometimes do ask me like, "Is it supposed to be like one band? Like, what is that?" It's like it's just convenient.
Yeah, you're dropping some knowledge. I had no idea that Fight Them All account was the former Jukai account.
Yep, yep.
Interesting.
Some lore, some Long Island hardcore lore for you.
Yeah, thank you. I love Long Island. I'm such a fan. Obviously, it was nice to get to New Jersey to see you guys, but Dead Last was a major selling point for me.
Yeah, they're great. I think that was the second time I saw them. I think, which Long Island's cool. Do not like driving there. It's the worst traffic you'll ever be in your life because you have to go through New York City, and then Long Island itself has a ton of traffic. So, don't recommend driving there if you live in New Jersey. But cool place, has had some cool bands, some cool people.
The one time that I went to Long Island, it was a Friday afternoon. We, some friends and I went to Long Island, handled our business, and we were leaving on like the expressway. I forget what it's called exactly, but we were trying to get to New Haven, and we hit traffic, and I swear we were sitting under this bridge for like at least an hour, not moving.
You're dropping the worst traffic locations right now. Long Island, Connecticut, New York City, just the worst places for traffic.
Yeah, it was my first time on the East Coast, and it was a rude awakening. I thought we were going to be having, happy times, but I was so irritated. I hated being in traffic.
Happy times on I-95, let me tell you.
Yeah, like literally, I don't know where we were at because it was my first time, so I really don't remember. But we were dead stopped. I literally got out of the car because I wasn't driving. Some other friends were driving, so got out of the car, walked to this bodega, got a sandwich, and was able to get back to the car. No stress.
Hey,
it didn't go anywhere.
At least you made the most of it.
Yeah. Strange times. But I definitely do not ever want to experience that again. So hopefully if I ever get back to Long Island, hopefully it's to see Koyo and Dead Last, and then I can fly out, not drive out.
Yeah.
But okay, so Cutdown, doing your thing. I'm curious, how long is it after the demo comes out that you guys decide to start to work on this split that you guys had just put out?
I could probably pull up the DM from Bob Wilson. It was September of 2021.
Okay. Oh. He
DM'd me and said, you guys should do a split. I'll put it out on vinyl. And I was like, absolutely 100% yes, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first thing. I mean, if you don't count the From Within Records comp, which Never Again has a song on, it's the first thing that any of us have that's on vinyl. So obviously we're down to do it. And I mean, it's not like, the bands being so close together, it's not like the idea of us doing a split together wasn't in the back of our heads anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we were totally down to do it. And that was September 2021. And we just were lazy and took forever.
Asking you about your relationship with Bob Wilson, because I obviously Bob's a friend, you guys are my friends, but I just didn't know what kind of relationship you guys had, because when I heard about this split coming out on Rebirth Records, I thought that was a good pairing, and I was just never sure how Never Again, Cutdown were tied to Bob.
Yeah, well, Bob has reached out to us before, like in the Fence Cutter days and the Brute days and the Misconduct days. He's booked all those bands in Philly. And then when the Cutdown demo came out, he messaged me and was just like, if you don't have anybody that wants to put this out, let me do a tape of it. And I'm like, yeah, of course, that'd be sick. So he did that. That was awesome. And the same thing with the Never Again demo. He hit up Jason about doing the tape for that, and he's since then he's always been throwing like really cool shows at us for both bands.
Mm-hmm.
And then he hit me up about doing the split. So he's always been down for the Never Cut Down Again gang, which has been nice. So yeah, shout out to Bob. Thank you for all that you do.
100%. Yeah, it's nice to have someone like him, working, with you guys and having him in your corner, because he has a great ear for hardcore and obviously does a lot for the Philly scene, does a lot for hardcore in general with FYA. So,
Yes.
so it's really cool to see you guys on his label, and also to see Rebirth putting out cool stuff. Because when I heard about the split coming out on vinyl, I was like, that's so sick. To because I know he was just doing tapes for a while, but then when he was like, he's like, I'm gonna put this out on vinyl too, I was like, that's really awesome. Because I'm a fan of both bands, so to know that it was going to come out on vinyl, like, later on from that conversation, I was pretty hyped on it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, like I said, it's the first real thing I've had on vinyl, and that goes for everybody in the band, both bands except for the drummer of Never Again, Matt, who plays in Blind Justice. So he's obviously had his fair share of stuff on vinyl, but still, I mean, it's always cool to see that. So,
and shout out Matt, I saw him taking pictures with Rod Tang the other day.
Oh, the Muay Thai guy, I guess.
Yeah, he's super famous in that world. So I was like, I was just going through Instagram stories. I'm like, wait, is that Rod Tang? That's crazy, because I didn't even know he did Muay Thai. So that was like a cool thing to see.
I did Muay Thai like on and off for like probably a year and a half, 2 years. So you're really schooling me that I don't know who that guy is. But apologies to the people that put me on to the Muay Thai world. But yeah, he was getting into it around the time that I towards the end of my tenure in that art form, and he's stuck with it. He's really into it, so it's cool. Sean, dude who plays guitar in Never Again, he now coaches Muay Thai somewhere, and yeah, so they're both into that.
Shout out Sean. Shout out Prospect.
Yes.
I actually need to reach out to him, because Sean and I were talking about Prospect when I was in New Jersey. Make it happen. But the split gets announced, and there was this record release show that was tied around it. I'm just curious, as for location, why did you guys choose that spot versus Perth Amboy? I'm not sure how close the two are, because my geography when it comes into New Jersey is like non-existent. But I'm just curious about why did you guys choose that location for the record release?
Well, the thing is with New Jersey is like any spot that does shows, it doesn't last long. So any place that you've seen us do a show and it's like, oh, why don't you do a show there again? We probably can't do a show there anymore because something happened, the owner doesn't want to do it or whatever. So nothing ever actually happened with Copa. We just got tired of the floors being really slippery because you can't really mosh without falling on your face and looking like an idiot. And also like the location of it was kind of, it's just like adds to the stress because it's downtown Perth Amboy and like the cops would come in and give us shit like every other show we would do there. So it wasn't worth the stress anymore. And at one point when we were like in between having spots to do shows, this was probably over the summer, Jason and our friend Corey were just at that Mexican restaurant. They were just getting lunch and they were like, oh man, like where are we going to do the next show? Like where's it going to be? And one of them was like, why don't we just do it here? Sorry. So they just asked the owner and he was like, yeah, I'm down. And the first show that was there was the record release show for this band I mentioned earlier, Dusters. And it was fucking awesome. And every show we've done there since then has been awesome. And it's a mutual thing because, we always, people order food from the restaurant while the show's going on. So that adds to their business. And then we always hook them up at the end of the show. So it's, we get a spot to do shows. They get some extra business. So it works out for both of us.
And the restaurant's called Cinco de Mayo?
Cinco de Mayo. Yep.
And I was actually surprised because I saw Jeff Feet First. He filmed reaching out there, and I watched that video, and I don't know if it was because of the angle he was at or what, but it just seemed like it was way smaller than it actually is. Because when I walked in, I was surprised at how much room there actually was for the show.
I mean, it's not a huge spot, but it's sizable enough to do a show for sure.
Yeah, and it was crazy for me too because there didn't seem like there was any like real adjustment to the restaurant. I'm not sure if they normally have tables out where like the mosh pit is.
Yeah, we took all the tables out.
Okay, so
the tables where like the merch was set up, all those tables go inside normally.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, because by the time I showed up,
them out.
Yeah, all that stuff was already being set up.
By the time I showed up, it was all set up. I was like, all right, I guess. Sorry. I would have been down to help, but I guess it's already done. Whoops.
Yeah, they're on it. They're organized that day.
It's that dude Corey, man. Shout out to Corey. He was in a band called Lead Paint, which is still on Bandcamp. I'm sure you could find it.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a band called Lead Paint like years ago, but hasn't really been in any bands. But he's just held it down for New Brunswick hardcore for so long, and he acts like he's like, dude, I don't do anything. Like, I just take the money at the door. Like, you don't need to thank me. But he runs every one of those shows like a Navy ship, and we're eternally grateful for him.
Yeah, no, everything seemed fine. From my perspective, being an outsider looking in, going there for the first time, I didn't really have any complaints. It was fun for me. One thing that I was really surprised about was every staff member there seemed just so happy, right?
They're so into it.
Yeah, because normally, people to see hardcore people, when we're all gathered, right? We look like a bunch of weirdos. So just to see the staff so friendly, still happy to serve everybody that was there. It was such a cool thing to see that they really enjoyed having everybody.
With Cinco's, hardcore kids have been going, and like hardcore and punk kids have been going to Cinco's. Like, it's been an after show tradition to go there for years and years, like way before my time coming around to shows. Like, the thing was, you would go to a basement show in New Brunswick, and then the only spot that would be open that catered to like vegan, vegetarian people was Cinco de Mayo. Not that everybody's vegan, vegetarian, but that option is there for them. And a lot of, especially like that, like before my time, that era of New Brunswick hardcore was definitely a lot of vegans, and also everybody was broke, and everybody wanted somewhere to eat at 3 a.m. So where can you get a $5 burrito with no meat or cream or cheese in it at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m? Cinco de Mayo. So they're used to seeing crazy looking punk rock hardcore people. They've been coming there for years and years, but now we've taken our relationship to a higher level where we do shows in the restaurant, which, just thinking about it, is still absurd to me, but it's really cool.
Yeah, and it's also cool to see them being into it and showing support. There's merch on the wall, right? You saw a Prospect shirt. There's a Jive Bomb shirt.
I told the owner at the end of the show, I'm like, here, like, I'm going to give you a shirt to put on the wall. And he's like, oh, how much? You want 20? I'm like, no, take it. And then he gave me soap base for free. So shout out to him.
That's a nice trade.
Yeah.
And leading up to that show, Carl Gunhouse, he was hyping up how good the food was. And me living here in California, there's really good Mexican food in every direction. So I was always...
Yeah, I'm curious to know your thoughts on... did you get food?
I did, of course. Yeah, because Carl Gunhouse was hyping it up. So I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be at this show and not try the food. So yeah. I got 2 tacos, 1 al pastor, 1 carne asada. And
that's the way to go.
And quality was great. I was really surprised, because I've had Mexican food on the East Coast before, and it wasn't like the best, but Cinco de Mayo definitely it tasted like something from California. So I enjoyed my food.
You gotta know where to go with. Just like California. Probably not as big as California, but the East Coast does have a very large Mexican community, and they know how to cook. They have restaurants that are really good. You just got to know where they are, because obviously we do have our fair share of like really bad Tex-Mex stuff that this isn't good, but we also have our fair share of good stuff. We, like I said, just got to know where to go.
Yeah, and it is really convenient too to keep the kitchen open, because most venues they'll have snacks, or if the weird chance that they do have food, it's not good food. So to be able to have their full kitchen open during the hardcore show, I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's mutual. They get to make some extra cash during the show. So
yeah, and I saw, like, before the show started, during the show, I saw so many people buying food. It's crazy.
Because the food's awesome. It's good food, man.
Yeah, it was a cool thing to see people not just showing up for the show; they're actually down to support the business there too.
Yeah, you're making me hungry now. I might have to take a drive after this.
Yeah, and I did see this this local person, definitely wasn't there for the hardcore show. Looked like they were in their pajamas. It looked like they were going to get a burrito, but they walked up, saw the show happening, and then got kind of nervous.
We've had our fair share of locals coming to gigs. That even in the Perth Amboy days at Copa, you would always get like just random dudes on the street being like, "Oh, like heavy metal." I'm like, yeah, come on in. They're just confused. And I mean, whenever you do a show like in like a I don't want to say urban, but like heavily populated area where there's going to be a lot of people walking around, there's going to be curious people that just kind of pop in. Like, I remember one time I went to a show in Baltimore, and like some random woman just walked into the show and started dancing in the middle of the room, and you know, everyone had a good time. But you know, like, yeah, that stuff happens, I guess, everywhere, where if you have a show and there's a lot of people walking by that can see what's going on.
And I am curious, the two shows that I've been to in New Jersey, both matinees, is that a common thing, or is there a reason why you guys are doing these matinee shows? Well,
we all have jobs. So whenever we do a show on a Sunday, we try not to have it run too late. And yeah, that's, I mean, obviously, like when we do a show on a Friday or a Saturday, we're not going to make it a matinee. It's just a Sunday thing. It's just easier for everybody. And that record release show went by so fast. I think from the time Dead Last started to when Never Again finished, it was an hour and a half, which was crazy. But it was worked out because, you know, some people there had a bit of a drive to get back home and had work in the morning. So
yeah, it was nice. I literally had enough time to get back to Philly and went to an emo show.
Oh, cool. Who'd you see?
My friends from out here, they play in a pop punk band called Stateside. They were on tour, so Ben Stuckey booked them with some other local acts.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did book a show that day and didn't come to my show. Interesting.
He could have.
He could have. You know, the rest of his band was there. I actually, literally, when I was driving to the show, I was like, no, it'd be cool if Fool's Game played like 2 songs before Never Again. I'm gonna ask them if they're all there when I get there. And I asked Clemo, I'm like, is your whole band coming? He's like, I think so. I'm like, well, you guys want to play a couple songs? He's like, oh yeah, that'd be sick. And then he was like, oh wait, not everybody's coming. Never mind. So yeah.
Well, they tried to make that happen at the emo show, but Ben was against it.
Oh really? Yeah, I don't know if the emos are ready for the Fool's Game.
Yeah, they're threatening.
They're ready to play.
They're threatening to have me on bass. It was,
oh God.
Yeah, I was like, I'll do it, but it's not going to sound good. But it was a good time.
Yeah, touring with that band was so much fun. Those guys are so fun.
Yeah, I just met Ty, not the drummer, the other Ty.
No, yeah, Ty. He's the silent but secretly very funny individual.
Yeah, seemed like a chill dude. So it was nice to meet Ty in person. Chill. I am curious about that Pop Smoke poster behind you.
So during the COVID-19 pandemic, 2 friends of mine, Harry who plays in Regulate No Pressure, and our other friend Grant, who played in the Spin Reaction, while they were in between places of employment, they were able to do what's that called when they wheat pasting in the city. And one of the things they had to do was put up Pop Smoke posters all over New York. And I was meeting up with Grant that day to play Pokemon Go in Central Park because there was a special Pokemon Go event going on.
Okay.
But he had to do some wheat pasting activities before that. So he was just like, you know what? Just come roll with us. And that way you could just chill in the car. And like, as we're driving around the city, you could keep playing. And we'll just do some wheat pasting stuff. And they were doing these Pop Smoke posters. So I was like, hey, let me get one. So I got one and framed it because it's dope. And yeah, he's still there. Rest in peace, Pop Smoke.
Yes, rest in peace. A legend. His music's awesome. So I was stoked to see that. I have beef with Pokemon Go.
Oh, for real? Let's hear it.
So it's been going on for years at this point. Last time I was able to play, I caught a shiny Mewtwo.
Yes.
And then just by chance, I get locked out of my account.
Wow.
And I've been playing since the beta. So I never signed up through like Niantic Kids or Pokemon Trainer. So I can't I can't recover my account. I've emailed customer support and just no luck. And I even have my friends check to see if I'm still on their friends list, and I'm still there, but I can't get into my account.
Can't log in.
It's so frustrating because I've missed out. Because it's been years at this point, so I'm kind of I've kind of given up. But I've missed out on so much because here. You have Central Park. We have Disneyland because that's like a hotbed. So there's guaranteed people. Raids are popping off all day.
Raids are popping off.
Yeah, it's easy, but since I'm locked out, I just watch my friends play, and it's just so irritating.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great thing to do during COVID to waste time because I didn't have a whole lot going on. I was like barely working most of the pandemic and like barely going to school. So to fill up those gaps of free time, I was just playing Pokemon Go like a madman. But then like, real life came back around and I had things to do and didn't really have time to, really put in the hours that you need to become a Pokemon master. But another thing too, I kind of like ran out of things to do in that game because there's only so much you could do. Like you do the raids and then you get all the I had any Pokemon I wanted. I had pretty much every shiny I wanted. I had, so I was satisfied. And also a lot of my friends stopped playing. I know like Keith from Restraining Order. He was going Pokemon like from 2016 until the time he quit, like 2021, 2020, probably 2021. He never stopped. Like he was going hard body the whole time. And then at one point he just quit. Like he just was fed up with the game and quit. So that was one guy who I was like, damn, he quit. Like, what am I like? Who am I going to send gifts to? Who's going to invite me to raids? And then, like this, and I'm sure the same thing happened to me to like my other friends where like, the pandemic started to wind down. People got busy again. And you don't have to like, you got to put in a lot of time to play that game.
Yeah. There's points where we're in Disneyland trying to just have a normal day. And it's like, shit, there's a raid. People wanting to hop out of line. I'm like, dude, we can get it next time. It's not that serious, but.
Oh, it's that serious.
Yeah, for them it was, but for me, I was more of a casual player, so I would play whenever I was at Disneyland, but I wasn't up to date on like all the news, knowing oh shit, this this special move is dropping today, this weekend only. We gotta go catch it, like whatever Pokemon. I'm just like, that's crazy.
In February of 2021, there was an event. And me and some friends, we went to Central Park at 9 a.m. in February. It was 20 degrees out.
Jeez.
And we played Pokemon Go in Central Park from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. So yeah, we don't play. We don't play games when it comes to Pokemon Go. I mean, we play games because it's a game, but we don't play games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, serious. That's half a day.
Serious. We are about the business when it comes to Pokemon Go.
Yeah, but it is strange. You invest so much time into something, and then it just means nothing. You just kind of move on.
Well, I mean, nothing means anything, really, if you think about it. Life means nothing.
Yeah, AI is on the way.
AI is on the way. Hey, shout out to my employer, AI. Let's go.
Yes.
But yeah.
Shout out to ChatGPT-4. It's amazing. My college friend was here in town, and he was crying about how he didn't have enough time to write his paper. I'm like, dude, ChatGPT has your back, and he was scared. He didn't want to use it.
Absolutely. We hired people at my job, and I had to help put together training material to explain the job to these people.
Mm-hmm.
And we used this weird computer program to do the job, and I was trying to figure out how to put into words, explain what a certain aspect of this program does. I'm like, how am I going to put this into words? And my coworker was like, just ask ChatGPT. So I did, and that's what I used to explain it to these people, what ChatGPT said. So shout out.
It's a scary tool because I'll have it write blogs for me, and I'll just give it a very precise but short description of what I want it to be. And when I go and proofread it, I'm just like, I don't know if I could have written it better myself. This is great. Thank you, ChatGPT. Yeah. Thank you to the AI gods. We'll be bowing down to them pretty soon.
Yes. Shout out to Transformers, the algorithms that are used to make ChatGPT work. I don't know how they work. Can't explain it to you, but that's what they're called.
We got to call China. They have all the answers.
Yes, they do. TikTok.
I love TikTok, by the way.
Me too.
I don't know why I was against it for so long. I think it was just because it was unfamiliar. But when I decided to join the platform, and after using it for so long, I argue to this day, it has the best algorithm. It knows exactly what I want to see. I never click into that app and bored. It's just it's scary.
No, yeah, it is scary because it could suck a lot of time out of you.
Yeah.
And do you follow Cutdown on TikTok?
I didn't know Cutdown was on TikTok.
Yeah, bro. Cutdown. We're the kings of TikTok hardcore, you could say.
Really? Okay, fun fact. You scroll to the very beginning of my TikTok feed, and you'll see a video of Never Again from the One Step Closer record release show.
I'll have to repost it on the Cutdown TikTok.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys in the comments, but it's there. So, and no special reason. I was like, oh, this is a cool video. This is how I'm gonna start my TikTok career. But yeah, so it started off with you guys.
I really try to grind to get to 1,000 followers, so I could put the link of our Spotify link in the bio, because you can't put a link in a bio on a TikTok unless you have 1,000 or more followers. So I figured out a formula where I would just take a clip of a show,
mm-hmm.
and I would just caption it hardcore show in a McDonald's, or hardcore show in a Taco Bell, or just any fast food place or anything.
Okay.
And it would blow up. It would get 1,000 likes, and people just commenting, this is obviously not a McDonald's, because it would be just us playing at the church in Philly, or someplace in Jersey, and this is obviously not a McDonald's. And I would just comment what makes you the expert then, huh? Why do you think it's not a McDonald's? And they would just keep commenting, and the more comments on the video, the more traction it gets. But yeah, that formula has since failed me, but it worked, man. I mean, I don't know how many fans we've gotten through TikTok, but at least it makes me laugh, because I think it's funny to lie and say we played at a McDonald's when we didn't.
I am surprised at the hardcore community on TikTok, because I post clips from the podcast on there. That's the majority of the content that I post on TikTok, and just the people who will like it or comment or whatever. I'm just like, who are you? How did you find this? Because
it's the weirdest people in the world.
Yeah, because I don't hashtag or anything. I don't get that serious about it. I just post it. just to have it on another platform. But people find it, and I'm just like, it was interesting. Because like I said, I don't hashtag it. I like the titles that I use are literally the title, or I'll just have the guest name, you know, on the GMRK podcast, and that's the extent of the description. I don't go out of my way to try to get it into, like, you know, I'll see people hashtagging like Genshin Impact or stuff that's irrelevant, but they're like popular hashtags. I'm just like, I don't care that much. Like, people find it, they'll find it. It's there.
Yeah, man. It seems like I guess hardcore TikTok community, the people that are involved in that are like anyone that's like taking that seriously. It's, I mean, the same thing you could say about anybody that's like involved in this, that takes social media and any form of social media too seriously. It's just very weird people, like, you know, people nowadays, they like to say, go touch some grass to them. And that's what I say to some of those people. Like, stop. I don't want to see your outfit of the day with your whatever band shirt you're wearing and your stupid mustache. No offense to other people that have mustaches, of course, but I don't care. Go outside. You know, like, it's cool when people post videos of shows because it gets people exposed to like this kind of stuff. I think that's cool. I think, you know, if I have to see some random 19-year-old girl in Iowa making a lip sync video to like Tsunami or something, I might have to throw my phone into the ocean. Yeah,
it gets a little strange when it gets like that kind of stuff with hardcore. I was like, that's so weird. I've never wanted to film myself moshing in my bedroom or doing vocal covers. It's a little weird.
Shout out to vocal covers. I got the vocal cover mic right here.
Yeah, but it's weird because I'll watch a drum cover. I'm a sucker for a drum cover, but
I'll watch a drum cover. I'll watch a guitar cover all day.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about. But it's a little cringy, right?
It's very cringy, man. I mean, thankfully that era has the height of those kind of like vocal covers has come and gone, but
I hope
I don't know. Sometimes you still see, every now and then, like, you know, you'll like randomly come across someone you still follow from when you went to weird Seenie Weenie shows 10 years ago, and you see them on like still going after it with the vocal covers, and you're like, damn, like, wow, okay, yeah, respect, I guess.
Good luck. It's strange. Yeah, don't know about all that, but it is cool. So shout out to everybody on hardcore TikTok, and I even get recommended like, oh, like your mutuals, or you have mutuals with this person, and I'll look at their profile. I'm like, yeah, we have mutuals, but why the fuck would I want to follow them? It's weird. It's strange. But I've made some. But it is interesting because I'm like late to the game, I guess, when it comes to TikTok. So to see some of my friends who are already like more established on there, I'm like, oh, cool. Like well, in terms of hardcore. So it's cool to see them being able to thrive here or there as well. So, and I've met some like, you know, cool people through TikTok. So they're not all bad.
Yeah. I mean, I hope hopefully at the end of the day, like, you know, every now and then I do get comments of people being like, where are these shows happening? Like it's usually really young people, because that's where they're at. Young people, they're definitely not on Facebook. They're not really on Twitter and Instagram that much. I'm talking about like literal teenagers. Like they're on TikTok, and you know, those are the kind of people you want to get involved in your scene, because they're going to be the ones that are going to carry the torch. And I mean, if the best way to reach those kind of people is to post silly videos where you lie about playing in a McDonald's when you're not really doing it, I guess that's what we got to do. Yeah. You know, not everybody is built for this, but you know, Cutdown is gonna keep passing the torch along by you know, venturing into the depths of hardcore TikTok hell. Yeah. Not everyone's willing to do it, but we are. So
yeah, I feel like it's just like this. It's not really a shift, but it's just a new way to consume hardcore, because you got to remember, if we go back to B9 and then MySpace and Facebook became a thing, and then Twitter popped up, everybody's on Twitter, and then Instagram popped up, now everybody's on Instagram. So it's just,
I'm sure when those things popped up, people were like, "You're gonna make a band account on Instagram? That's so cringe. You're gonna make a band page on MySpace? That's so weird. Like, don't do that." Or I don't know. Like, so I'm sure whenever these things come along, there's backlash, and yeah, there's a lot of cringe going on, but people figure out ways to do it that make it not lame, I guess.
100%. Just because there's people doing vocal covers on TikTok doesn't mean you have to do that. You can
hey, I might set this mic up after we're done and hit him with a quick vocal cover, post it on TikTok.
Why do you have that mic? I'm curious.
Just like, I mean, not that I'm like an expert of recording or anything, but like I record stuff to just like demo out ideas and yeah, so it's just like to record ideas and for songs and stuff.
Okay, because you have the shock mount.
I did record one Cutdown song, Your Disguise, out on Spotify now.
Mm-hmm.
I recorded that by myself, which you can tell because it sounds terrible.
Now I'm gonna go listen to that and overanalyze it, knowing that you recorded it now. Interesting. Okay, is that something you want to do more of, or is it just for ideas?
I don't think so. I think I just wanted to do it to like prove to myself that I can do it. Because we kind of had the idea since Bob asked us to do the split September 2021. It didn't come out until not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big in-between period where Cutdown needed to put out new music, and we had like a bunch of shows coming up at one point, and it was Swan's idea. He was like, we should just take this month, write, record, and release a song by ourselves. And I was like, yeah, I'm down. So that's what we did, and the quickest way to do that is to do it yourself. So I just did it myself.
Yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't sound great, but it did exactly what we wanted it to do. That song, which was to have another song to play and kind of just generate a little bit of more buzz with the band by putting out something new. I mean, the age we live in with TikTok and Spotify and all that, like, you kind of need to consistently put stuff out for people to have people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not going to go and drop a new song every week because it'll suck, because you got to put more than a week into songs sometimes. Sometimes you don't, but, we put the demo out in spring of 2021, and then we just didn't have anything for like almost a year and a half. It was like, all right, at the very least, let's put out another song. And, the song's super catchy, and people sing along to it at shows, which is cool, because it's just, I mean, like, I wrote that with the idea of like, let me make something really, really catchy. So that's all I wanted the song to do, is just a song, get people, get a little bit more buzz with the band, get people excited about it, and have another song to play, because we were playing the same set forever.
For sure.
And, God forbid a hardcore punk band has a song that the recording kind of sucks. God forbid. That's never happened before.
I feel like that's like the only genre where that's like okay. Because if I were to tune into like a pop punk band or rap or something and the audio quality is trash, chances are I'm tuning out.
It's all about the energy. And I mean, the songwriting too. If you listen to like all those first generation, like early 80s hardcore bands, their songs are very catchy, very, the way they're written, they're structured very well. And yeah, that's what's important. I mean, having good quality recording is cool, but I mean, it still has to have that energy. And with hardcore, if it gets too polished, it loses the energy.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Is there any chance for you guys to come out to the West Coast? That's one thing I always have to ask, is fan of both bands, and you guys haven't made it out west, and I think you guys could have some success.
We're definitely gonna do it. After we did the East Coast tour, we're all like, this was so much fun. We're like, we'll definitely do. And the East Coast tour was a bit of a trial run for like that kind of stuff. That was the first time we rented a van. First time we that was the longest run we've ever done between Fence Cutter and these bands. So it was a bit of a trial run to see how it would go, and it went perfectly. Everything about it was perfect. So yeah, we'll definitely do it. We have some other, I guess, business trips we have kind of in the back of our pocket right now that we're going to be doing in like this coming year. So and we all work, we all got full-time jobs and everything. So I don't think West Coast would happen this year, but I mean, I know personally, like, I want to do it. My goal, like, there's three things whenever getting Cutdown started, there's like three things I wanted to do. And like, if we do those things, I'll be satisfied. I don't care what else we do. I guess four things. One of them is I want to put out an LP with both bands, put out an LP on vinyl. And then the other three things are I wanted to tour the East Coast, which we did already, tour the West Coast, which like that's a goal of mine, so we'll definitely do it. And then I want to tour Europe at some point. Once all those boxes are checked off, no more music. I'm done. I'm gonna go live in a cabin in the woods or something.
You got to stick around. You got to keep putting on for New Jersey. When I went out for your record release, it was so cool to see so many people show out. I didn't know like 90% of the people, but it was a cool thing to just see everybody show out for a matinee show on a Sunday, and everybody just in a good mood, positive vibes, all there just to support you guys.
I think a part of it too is just like people are like, oh, they're doing shows in a Mexican restaurant. We should just go because that's crazy. Like, that's part of the what attracts people, I think, too. And also, like, New Brunswick is a college town. There's a lot of young people that are interested in like doing something different, like going to an underground show at a Mexican place. And yeah, I mean, and now something I've noticed more now than ever is like local kids that are just from New Brunswick coming out to shows, like high school kids that go to like the high school in New Brunswick coming out to shows. That I never really saw that before. It was always like sort of transplant kind of people that like just move, like people my age that move from another suburb to New Brunswick because it's just cheap, and then they get involved in the scene. But now there's actual New Brunswick natives that are really, really into these shows, which is cool to see.
Who is that young kid that you introduced me to when we were outside of the show talking, and he was telling me about his band and pointing out his bandmates? Because I was like, okay, these young kids, it's cool that they're so into it. They're already starting a band, doing music, and for me to be able to witness that out there, it just made me proud to know that you guys are influencing this next generation and giving kids a place to call home and to have an awesome scene.
Yeah, that kid's name is Oscar. He's one of the kids I'm talking about, who's from New Brunswick, super young kid, super into going to shows. And I think he literally just wandered into a show at Cinco's over the summer because it's just near where he lives. And since then, he's just been coming around. He's doing a band called Disguised with some other kids around his age. They've had 2 band practices under their belt, so still a work in progress. They do have a show lined up in May in New York.
New York? What they're already getting out of the state. That's crazy.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I've been helping them out a little bit. I let them use our practice space for those 2 practices. I've helped them, like, kind of not writing the songs for them, but like kind of guiding them, explaining to them like how to put songs together, how to structure them, and that kind of stuff. Giving them kind of notes on like as they play together, like, okay, like, I mean, because some of the kids in the band have, like, they're so young that they like have never played hardcore music on an instrument before, and I have to like explain to them, like, okay, like when you play along like on the guitar, like you don't just go as fast as you can, like there's a rhythm to it, like, this is the rhythm that you strum to, and like just basics. Like, you should have some kind of distortion going through your amp, or like the bass player, like, hey, maybe, if you want to play with the finger, that's cool. To really get that sound and get the rhythm, like, it might be easy to play with the pick, like just basic stuff. So, I mean, it's been cool to like see like really young kids putting a band together, and I hope it, like I said, it's still a work in progress with those kids. They'll tell me, "Oh no, we're not a work in progress. We're ready to go right now." Yeah, okay, we'll see. But I would really love to see it all come together. And we can never have enough bands in our scene, so it would be cool to have another band, especially with kids that young that are that excited about it.
Yeah, it was also cool too to see some members of Reaching Out there, which I didn't get a chance to talk to Caden, but it was just cool to see some of them there supporting, and obviously seeing like Dylan from Shackled there. So it's always cool to see the New Jersey heads supporting each other.
Yeah, of course. We're all in it together, so we always show love to whatever we're all doing. Dylan did our tapes for the split too, so shout out to Dylan for that. Shout out to Takedown Records. The tapes came out sick. They look awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and shout out Takedown Records. I am a fan of what Dylan is doing, because it's seeing all the bands he's putting out. He just put out that band from New York, so it's cool to see him staying busy. He didn't just sit comfortable with that Fool's Game release. He's actually putting in work. So yeah. It's really awesome to see.
Yeah, Dylan's definitely a dude who's down for the core, which is cool to see.
100%. And also wanted to give props. We talked about this in person at the show, but I wanted to give props to Silvio on air, because he did the special cover for the record release. And it was funny because it totally slipped my mind that you guys knew each other, because I'd asked you like, what's the connection, and I totally forgot that he was from out there.
Yeah, I've known Silvio since I was in high school. Like before I was really that into hardcore. I was more of like a pop punk kid in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I played in pop punk bands and went to those kind of shows, and Silvio was kind of on that wave as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I would just see him at like those kind of shows. The shout out to the Berkeley Heights VFW. And so I've known him since then, and then also like he was in this band MVA, which I'm sure you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like as I was getting into hardcore, finding out about local bands, I found out about MVA, and it was like, oh shit, Silvio's in this band, like that's cool. And the first hardcore show I went to in New Brunswick, MVA played. But yeah, so I mean we've just known each other forever. He also played drums on 2 Fence Cutter songs, and he played 2 or 3 shows with us, and then he moved to California, which broke my heart, because 1, he's awesome and he's a good friend, and 2, because he's probably he's definitely one of the best drummers still to this day that I've ever played with. So to have him be in the band for 3 shows and then move, broke my heart.
Yeah, everyone go shout out Silvio. You may not be familiar with who he is, but if you're wearing Drain merch, chances are he designed that shit, so put some respect on Silvio's name. He's awesome. If you're in Southern California looking for a drummer, hit up Silvio.
Yeah, for sure. Hit him up. He's amazing.
Yeah, super
I'm
talented.
glad that came together with him and Drain, because Silvio's a super talented artist.
Mm-hmm.
And like his stuff is amazing, but I feel like his style, typical hardcore bands and hardcore people might be like, oh, like this is too silly. We are serious, tough, hardcore music people. We can't have this. And the vibe of Drain as a band, I think, worked really well with Silvio's style. So it was just the perfect matchup. So it's really cool how that worked out for both of them.
100%. Shout out Drain too. Support them. Go listen to their Descendants covers. Go watch that new music video.
Yeah, I have to. That dropped today, right? I have to check that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love the Descendants, man.
Yeah, great band. It amazes me being ignorant, but I was so surprised that people didn't know what that was. I was like, what?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
people don't know shit anymore.
It's crazy.
Part of it's like, makes like if you're like 14 years old, why would you care about a record that came out 40 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, but like still, man, like some of those songs, man, are so fucking good.
Yeah, hopefully the Drain influence can educate some people.
Good things. That's a great song too, and it's I don't know if that's a deep cut, but it's definitely not the obvious choice when you're going to cover the Descendants. So really cool that they picked that song. Great song, and yeah, that's a great record. Mile Goes to College is a great record. Some of the other records, they got some, like especially the the stuff from the late 80s, All and Enjoy. They have some really weird songs in there, but they have some of the best Descendants songs are also on those records. But yeah, I could go on about the Descendants forever, man.
Okay. I am just curious about the future of Cutdown. Obviously, you laid out some goals for the band, but in terms of music, the split has been out since February, so just about 2 months. Do you have plans for the next release, or are you guys going to chill out and let it live a little?
I mean, we're writing stuff. I definitely want to do a 7-inch with that band. So if you have a record company and you would like to do that, let me know. But I mean, it's not, nothing's like, everything's up in the air right now. We're just kind of chilling out. We just put out that split. So we're playing shows. We're playing tomorrow at I mean, I guess this will be out by then, but we're playing tomorrow in Philly at this place, Bonks
Bar.
Then, Bonks Bar.
I went there for the first time. Shout out Josh from Life's Question,
and Ridge, and
shout out
the
Ridge.
Life's Question cats. Shout out to all of them.
Yeah, because I've been seeing Josh post about Bonks forever, and I was like, oh, that's like their thing.
There, man.
Yeah, I was like, that's their thing. And when I was in Philly for Harker Pride weekend, Gridiron announces that they're playing after day 2 at Bonks, and I was just like,
I'm sure that was insane because their set was at the church was crazy, and then putting that into a smaller room must have been something to see.
Yeah, it was insane. Matt Carl picked up the guitar. Definitely didn't play it, but
okay.
it was quite the moment. But yeah, great time. I could not have asked for a better night for my first night at Bonks. The owner came up to me. I don't know if he thought I was in a band, but he shook my hand. He thanked me for some weird reason, but I was like, no, thank you for hosting this. This is crazy because I would not want to be responsible for all this. But yeah, he was just thanking me, and I was just like, oh, nah, it's all good. Thank you. It was crazy.
Respect.
Yeah, good vibes all around.
We're playing on Easter in North Plainfield, New Jersey, which Dylan from Shackled and Takedown Records, he booked that show, so shout out to him.
Easter Sunday.
And then, Easter Sunday, man. And then on Monday, we may or may not be playing a show in New Brunswick. I don't know.
May or may not. What about the fans that have already bought tickets?
To the show in New Brunswick?
Yeah.
There's no tickets, man. It's New Brunswick. You just pull up. They don't even, some of those shows, they don't even have like a set amount of money that you like. They'll do this thing called a sliding scale, and on the flyer it'll say like $3 to $8. It's like, what the hell is that even? Like, I was always so confused by that, but like, it's just New Brunswick, man. Like, people don't care. Like, you just show up and have a good time. That's what it is. It's the complete opposite of like a professional thing,
which I'm a fan of. Procore is a little dicey. I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Cutdown and Never Again, we're fighting on the front lines in the war against Procore. So yeah.
Well, that is very respectable because I've had to talk to some of these people from Procore, and not my favorite conversations. Been screwed over, which we'll get to it someday, which I should just air it out and start all this drama, but now we'll just save it for another day. They know what they did. Fuck those motherfuckers.
You know who you are.
Yeah, they can't stop the podcast. They can't stop what we got going on.
No, you know why? Because you're all DIY. No one can stop you except yourself, and that would be on your own terms. That's what DIY is all about, man. Exactly.
Well, Avery, this has been awesome. It's been a long time coming, like I said before, but I do appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast and talk about Never Again and Cutdown. But before we sign off, is there any last words?
I mean, thank you for having me. Listen to your podcast a lot throughout the years since I've been on, so I'm really happy to be back. Last words, something profound. If you're not from New Jersey and you don't know the band Dusters, you could find them on Spotify or getdusted.bandcamp.com, I believe it is. The Jersey's best kept secret is what I always say. Amazing band. In New Jersey, their shows are amazing. People love them. They're just now starting to get out there. They did a little run in Cali earlier last year, and they did a run in Texas. And they've done some East Coast stuff, some stuff with Cutdown. But for the most part, they're representing the Jersey hardcore and punk scene. And they're an amazing band. And I think they deserve even more love than what they have already. So go check out the band Dusters.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you, everybody from the great state of New Jersey. Go listen to Hold My Own, Raw Life, Not One Truth, a ton of other bands. Floor Punch, please. I can never not think about Floor Punch when New Jersey gets brought up. But I appreciate Blind Justice.
I got the Heavy Chains tee on.
Heavy Chains. Shout out Mike Body, my favorite person, even though I never talked to him. Last time I talked to him, I asked him to bring Regulate to program. You probably would not remember that conversation, but shout out Mike Body.
Shout out to Mike Body and his new haircut. I'm still getting used to it, I guess.
Shout out Rebirth Records, Bob Wilson, great guy.
Absolutely.
But shout out Jason. Shout out Scorentinos, right?
Scorentinos. They've gone down in quality a little bit, I must admit.
Oh, that's sad.
Shout out to them anyway. Shout out to the Greek spot in Red Bank, New Jersey. I'm going to go there right now. So shout out to them.
Hell yeah. All right. We can go on. I love New Jersey. I hope the next time I'm back in New Jersey, it's for Never Again, Cutdown for the third time. Because the first two times, right?
Yep.
We got to keep this tradition alive.
We got to keep it going.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back soon.